Welcome to ICSE Computer Application Class 10 100 Marks. I am Ganga Devi and in this video we will be discussing iteration in Java. Mainly the for loop programs and its use. This is first part of iteration in Java. So in this video we will be discussing how to create the for loop, in what conditions we can use the for loop, and how to write simple programs by using the for loop. If you haven't subscribed my channel till now, please subscribe it. And in the end, if you understand and like this video, please don't forget to press the like button and write your comments. Iteration in Java. What do you mean by iteration? Iteration means repeating a set of statements again and again according to the requirements of a program. A loop is a condition in which the statements are repeatedly executed till a condition is valid. A given condition will be there and set of statements will be there. The statements will be repeated. Whatever work is given in the statements will be repeated again and again till the condition is valid. As soon as the condition is invalid, the loop will stop. So if you want to print your name 100 times, if you want to write a number 100 times, or any such program, if you want to do it again and again, we will be using loops in Java. We can understand it. Suppose if you want to print your name 100 times or the number 500 times, then it is difficult to print or type again and again the same thing. So what we can do, we can create a loop. That loop will have one or two statements and that loop will work for 100 times and print the number or name which you wanted. So this is known as iteration, or this is known as loop, doing one work again and again. And now each loop have the following components. We can see the components of the loop. First one is initialization. That means here we can see the definition. The initial value of the loop, the starting value of the loop is known as initialization. And then second part is condition. What is the condition? Okay, we have given the initial value and there should be a condition for stopping. So the test condition, the criteria that decide whether the loop should be repeated or not. Otherwise we can say the ending value, that is the condition. And now updation. So updation means the modification of the loop counter. Either the number can increase or decrease. So these are the three parts of iteration: initialization, starting number, condition, and updation. Now we can see the different types of loops. Based on the nature of iterations, loops are divided into three types: for loop, while loop, and do while loop. Loops also can be classified as entry control loop and exit control loop. Entry control loop, that means the condition is verified. Whatever condition we are giving, the condition will be verified before executing the loop. For example, while loop and for loop. And exit control loop, the condition will be verified after executing the loop. And example is do while loop. We can discuss for loop first. For loop is used when you know the number of iterations, that is how many times the loop will be executing, how many times the loop will be working. 10 times, 100 times, if you know the counting, then we will be using for loop. And now syntax of for loop: for in small letters and then bracket will open, and here inside the for loop 2 semicolons are there. And here we can see the first part will be having the initial value, that is starting value, and then condition, and then updation. For example, if we are printing numbers or if we are counting from 1 to 50, the starting number is 1 and ending number is 50. So here we can see int, we have to declare the variable. If we are using a variable, we have to declare with the data type. So here inside the for loop we can declare int I is equal to 1 semicolon. Before the first semicolon, initial value will be given. And then I less than or equal to 50, that is the condition, starting from 1 till 50, and 1 to 50 automatically it is plus plus, not minus minus. So I plus plus. So this way we can write the for loop, the first line of the for loop, and body will be coming below that. And now if we want to say type the for loop for 100 to 1, that means starting number is 100, for open the bracket int I, declare the data type int I is equal to 100, starting number I greater than or equal to 1. That means starting number is big and condition is less. That means ending number is less. So I greater than. Here see first one. Here 1 to 50 means starting number is small and ending number is big. So less than or equal to. And here we are coming down. 100 to 1 means starting number is big and ending number I greater than. The sign will change, greater than or equal to 1, and naturally minus minus. I minus minus. Suppose if you want to print even numbers with a difference of 2, starting from 2 to 100. So here we can see int I is equal to 2, starting number here. Then I less than or equal to 100, starting from 2 to 100, and difference of 2 means I plus is equal to 2. If you want to print numbers with a difference of 5, I plus is equal to 5. If you want to print the numbers with a difference of 10, I plus or I minus is equal to 10 according to the values given. So this way we can declare the for loop. Now we can understand the working of the for loop. So one example I am giving here, int I is equal to 100, I greater than or equal to 80, I minus is equal to 5. That means 100 to 80 with a difference of 5. We are printing. And system out println I. That means the values of I will be printed. System out print. It is given system out print I. So we can see how it is working. Here, its values are given here. So first value of I is 100. Condition will be checked. The condition is true. Entry control loop. So first the condition will be checked, then only printing will be done. So condition is true. So 80 here, 100 will be printed. And after that updation will be done. Updation is I minus is equal to 5. So I loop will become 95. And after becoming 95, condition will be checked. Before printing, every time the condition is checked. First updating, then condition checking, and then printing. So 95, condition is checked. 95 is above or 80. So 95 here will be printed. And then once again, I minus 5, I will become 90. Before printing, condition will be checked. 90 is greater than 80. So it will be printed. And then I will become 85 minus 5. Again the condition is true, so 85 will be printed. And then once again updating minus 5, it will become 80. And I greater than or equal to 80. So again condition is true, so it will be printed. And now once again updation, I will become 75. Before printing, the condition will be checked. I greater than or equal to 80. 75 is not greater than 80. That means I loop will stop there. Printing will stop there. So if we analyze, if we are printing, the last value of I will be 75, which is not printed. Printing will be done only till 80. So here we can see how the printing will be done. It is saying system out print. So it will be coming like this. Actually no gap will be there. This is just to see how the printing is done. And suppose if you are doing print ln, then the output will be coming like this. 100, 95, 90, 85, 80 and 75 will not be printed. And if you are giving the loop printing outside the loop, then it can be printed. Otherwise, till 80, the numbers will be printed. So here one more example is here. 10 to 1 I minus is equal to 2. So here we can see how it is done. Starting value is 10 and condition is checked. Greater than or equal to 1. 10 is greater than 1. So it will be printed. And then I minus is equal to 2. That means 10 minus 2. It will become 8. Condition checked. Condition is true. 8 will be printed. Then minus 2. I will become 6. Again condition checked. Condition is true. It will be printed. And then 4. 4 also will be printed. 2 also will be printed. And then 2 minus 1. The last value will become 0. 0 is not greater than 1. So it will not be printed. So like this, the printing will be done. Example we can see here, IND 4. That means 4 in small letter, open the bracket, IND I is equal to 1 semicolon. The initial value of I is 1. I less than or equal to 5 semicolon. That means condition 1 till 5. I plus plus increasing 1 by 1. And here we are saying system out println I. So here we can see how the table is working. Starting number is 1. Condition will be checked. Condition is true. So 1 will be printed. And when I will increase here, increase is shown here, I plus plus is shown here. I will be increasing next time 2. Again condition is true, 2 will be printed. Plus 1, 3. 3 condition is true, I less than or equal to 5. 3 is less than 5. That means 3 also will be printed. 4. 4 is less than 5. 4 also will be printed. And 5. 5 is equal to 5. I less than or equal to 5. That means both the numbers are same. Condition is true. So it will be printed. So, and then updating, I has become 6. And then condition is checked. Condition is not there. So the condition is given in the braces. You can see opening the braces. This is known as the body of the for loop. So body of the for loop, we are saying system out println I. The value of I will be printed 1 to 5. And now it is closed. So 1 to 5 will be printed. So what happens? Suppose if we are giving this command system out println I outside the loop. If we are giving this outside the loop, only one time printing will be done because there is no for loop. And what is the value of I? The last value of I will be printed. The last value of I, you can see here, it is 6. That means 6 will be printed. Keep in mind, inside the brace, the body of the for loop, only according to the condition it is printed. That means 1 to 5. And for loop is working like this. Every time updating is done first. Then before printing, condition is checked. So I will be increasing 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Till 5 condition is true. So inside the for loop, till 5 it is done. But updation is done for 6 also. Once again it is saying I plus plus. So the last value of I is 6. It will not be printed. The loop will stop because I is telling printing till 5. But the last value of I has become 6. So if you give the printing outside the loop, then the last value of I will be printed. That means 6 will be printed. So like this the for loop will work. So here in this case I is equal to 1, I less than or equal to 5, I plus plus. The body of the loop, we are saying system out println computer. So I is for counting. I will go from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 5 times whatever you have given inside the for loop body will be printed. Inside the for loop body, you have set system out println computer, the word in double quotes. So it is printing 5 times the word computer. So like this, whatever you give inside the for loop body will be printed. So for loop will open with a brace and close with a brace. Now before going to for loop programs, we can understand what a while loop is. For loop is used when you know the number of iteration, that means how many times the loop will be working. And while loop is used when you don't know how many times the number of loop will be working. And do while loop is also used when you don't know how many times the loop will be working. And what are the difference? While loop is entry control and do while is exit control. And here we can see entry control means the control variable is at the beginning. Checking will be done in the beginning. The second difference of while and for loop is the while loop will not execute if the condition is false, because checking is done in the beginning. As you can see here, the while loop will not work if the condition is false. But do while loop will work if the condition just one time it will execute if the condition is false, because the loop is working and condition will be checked only at the end of the first loop. So even if the condition is wrong, one time the statements of the do while loop will be executed, and then when we see the condition is wrong, loop will stop. After that the loop will not work, but one time even if the condition is wrong, the loop will work. So this is the main difference of while and do while loop. So we can see how it is done. Here for loop starting number 1. So in do while and while, the starting number will be given before the loop. Here you can see int I is equal to 1. And in do while also int I is equal to 1. That means initial value will be given before the loop start. And then we are starting the while loop or do while loop. If we are writing while loop, start while in small letter, in the bracket condition will be given. That means what is the ending value. So here I less than or equal to 50 will be written in bracket. And then the loop body opens and statements of the for loop or while loop will be given, and before closing the loop the updation decrement or increment I plus plus, the last part of the for loop will be given before closing of the loop. So this is way how we can convert for loop into while loop. Starting value in the beginning, condition, open the body, write the statements, and before classing increment or decrement. And here in while no semicolon. And now do while, starting values in the given. The loop will start with a keyword do, and then open the brace. Statements will be written inside the body, and before closing increment or decrement I plus plus, then close the loop body, and after closing the loop body we will write the condition in small letter while I is less than or equal to 50. Whatever the condition you will write here with semicolon ending. Here we are ending the do while loop, and in do while loop for the while we have a semicolon, but in the while loop there is no semicolon. While loop and do while loop we will do in detail in another video in which all the programs will be discussed. In this video mainly the for loop simple programs are discussed. So we can see the program. Before going to the programs, we have also to see the variations in for loop. So the for loop can be written in different ways. So first one, multiple initialization. Multiple initialization means more than one value can be initialized in the for loop. Normally we are doing int I is equal to 1, I less than or equal to 50, I plus plus. That means I is equal to 1. One variable is initialized. But in for loop we can have more than one initialization. Multiple initialization and multiple update expression. Update means increment or decrement, more than one can be there. So the multiple expressions will be separated with commas. In the for loop only two semicolons will be there and only one condition, not more than one condition, but the initial value can be more than one and updating can be more than one. And initial value, if there are more than one, commas will be there for separating, and same with the updating value, commas will be there for separating. So here for loop pattern 4 and 2 semicolon. And here starting part will be the initial value, in middle condition, and in the end updating express. So here we can say multiple initialization. In the starting before the first semicolon is here. Before the first semicolon we are having more than one variable initialized. That means int I is equal to 1. I is also initialized, comma here, it is comma here, j is equal to 10. So two values are initialized. So like this multiple initialization can be done. Keep in mind only two semicolon inside the for loop. First part for initialization, second part for condition, and last part for updation. So in the first part we are discussing more than one initialization can be there separated by commas. And now updation, multiple updation. Here in the end we can see more than one updation. Here we are having I plus plus and j minus minus. I is increasing and j is decreasing. So more than one updating part is here. So like this multiple initialization can be there and multiple updation can be there in a for loop. And the next variation in the for loop is optional expression. That means one or two expressions inside the for loop can be omitted. Here, a for loop may omit expression, that is, omit the update expression, omit the condition, or omit initialization. So here we can see in the first part, here we are omitting or not printing the starting value and in updating part. So starting value is given before the for loop. Here int I is equal to 1 before the for loop is given. And here the first part is blank. That means no initialization is here. So automatically the value for I will be 1 because we have given here. But inside the for loop is not done. So omitting the first part. And I less than 50 and updating part we are writing inside the for loop. So this way also we can write the for loop. Normally we use we don't use this way. We use normal for loop, but this way is also possible. It is not a mistake. In board exam, if it is asked, it is not a mistake. The variations can be omitted in the for loop for initialization and updation. The next variation is omitting the condition. For loop will never ends if the condition is omitted in the expression. Here you can see starting number is 5. The condition is omitted and j++. That means the loop will go on counting 5, 6, 7. If we are saying system.println I, the value of I will start from 5. Here you can see 5, 6, 7. It will go on printing, adding. The ending condition is not there. That means the loop will never stop. And this type of loop is also known as an infinite loop. Infinite loop means never ending loop. Condition is not there, loop will never ending. And if you are compiling in the program, you have to close BlueJ to stop execution. Otherwise, printing will go on unlimited times. So an infinite loop means the loop without condition or the loop which never ends. The example you can see here. And next is empty loop or null loop. So what is an empty loop or null loop? A for loop or any loop without body is known as empty loop. Here, if the loop is having no statements to execute, here starting number is 5, I less than or is equal to 1000, I plus plus. That means here starting number and ending number is there. It is increasing but no loop body. This loop is also known as delay loop. It will delay or slow down the program. Suppose if you want to slow down a program due to some calculation in between, we will use an empty loop, otherwise null loop. We can have the starting number as 1 and ending number as 1 lakh, 2 lakh, 3 lakh. Till the execution of the loop is completed, the program will slow down. So it is also known as a delay loop, empty loop or null loop, a loop without body and mainly used for slowing down the program execution. Now we can start with the for loop simple programs. First we will be doing some very simple program to understand the concept. Then we can go to little difficult programs. So here the first program is write a program to print numbers from 1 to 100. Here we can see the starting number is 1 and ending number is 100. So the for loop has to be defined like this. For int I is equal to 1. That means after the bracket, starting number before the first semicolon, int I is equal to 1. I less than or equal to 100. 1 to 100. So that means 100 is included. And I plus plus. I will be increasing 1, 2, 3, 1 by 1. So we can see how to write the program. So here we can start the program. Question is saying print numbers from 1 to 100. That means starting number is 1 and ending number is 100. And there is no need of inputting any numbers, as we know the starting value and ending value and what has to be printed. And we know the loop will run 100 times. So straightly start with the program. Write the command first to print numbers from 1 to 100. class name, class number. According to the program, give a class name and then open the brace for the class here. Public static void main string args square brackets. Again close the bracket and here brace below public here. Then for loop can be starting from this line or next line, doesn't matter. For open the bracket int I is equal to 1. Starting value is 1 semicolon I less than or equal to 100. Ending value is 100. 1 to 100 means starting value is 1 and ending value is 100. I plus plus. Increase the value and then open the for loop. For loop is opening here and closing here. And what we have to print? We have to print the value of I. The value of I means first time value of I is 1. Second time value of I is 2. It will be increasing here, checking the condition and then printing. Printing you can see system out print. That means printing will be done in one line. 1, 2, 3. Here up to 100 you can see printing will be done in one line. If it is saying system out println, output will be one below the other. 1, then next line 2, then 3. Like that, like this. So as we are giving the command print, I is printed here with space in between. And then close the for loop and close the bracket for public static and class name. So this way we can complete the for loop for printing the numbers from 1 to 100. And as you can see, the program is very small and very simple. Easy to understand. Next question, write a program to print even numbers from 20 to 50. That means starting number is 20 and last number is 50. Even number, that means 20, 22, 24 like that. So difference of plus 2. So here we can see, write the command to print even numbers from 20 to 50. Class even, public static void main string arguments, open the brace, and 4 int I is equal to 20 semicolon starting number, I less than or equal to 50 ending number, and I plus is equal to 2. That means difference of 2. And system out println I. Print means in one line, println means one below the other. 20, 22, 24 up to 50. And if you print the value of I outside this brace, then 52 also will be printed, the last value of I. Otherwise, if we are printing inside the loop 20 to 50, opening and closing the loop here, so 20 to 50 numbers will be printed. Next question, write a program to print odd numbers from 151 to 51. That means starting number is 151 and ending number is 51. So here, start the program class odd, public static void main string arguments, open the brace, and then force int I is equal to 151. Starting number 151, ending number 51. Here I greater than or equal to, here the sign has changed. I greater than or equal to 51. I minus is equal to 2. That means here difference of 2. Here we can see 151 is the starting number. Then minus 2 means 149. Minus 2, 147. 145. Like that up to 51, the value of I will be coming, and every time inside the for loop, here loop is opening here and loop is closing here. That means inside the for loop, every value of I will be printed. So here we can see how the work is done. And in this case, we have to remember one thing. When we are starting the even number, the starting number should be even. And if we are printing the odd number, starting number should be odd. Difference for even number and odd number is 2 or minus 2. But care has to be taken how you are starting. Suppose the question will come, print odd numbers from, we can say 10 to 100. In that case, if you start with 10 and when you give plus 2, even numbers will be printed because 10, 12 like that numbers will be printed. So if the question is coming like that, think about the question and odd numbers. That means after 10, the next odd number is 11. So start with 11. Then plus 2 means odd numbers will be printed. So when you start even number or odd number will always start with an odd number and even with even number. The next question, write a program to find product of odd numbers from 1 to 30. So in this case, see, we are not printing the odd numbers. We are not printing 1, 3, 5, 7. What we are going to do, we are going to find the product of all numbers. That means 1 into the next odd number is 3. 1 into 3 into 5 into 7 into 9 up to 29. So we have to find the product. So table we can analyze. I will be coming for loop. We will make from 1 to 30 or 1 to 29 plus 2 difference. 1 plus 2, 3, 3 plus 2, 5, 5 plus 2, 7, 7 plus 2, 9, like that. The numbers will be coming 1, 3, 5, 7 up to 29. And now find the product of all numbers. That means 1 into 3 into 5 into 7 into 9 into 11, like that up to 29. We have to multiply each odd number with each other. So how we can do the program here? Start the program with the command print the product of odd numbers from 1 to 30. Here you can see the command is coming in 2 lines. So we have done the single line commands in 2 lines. And now class odd. According to the program, give the class name. Open the brace for the class. Public static void main string arguments. Close it. Open it. Open public. And then int p is equal to 1. Here p is for finding the product. If you add some numbers, the starting value will be 0. We can say 0 plus 5 plus 10 plus like that. But if you multiply some number, starting value cannot be 0, because if you multiply any number with 0, answer will be 0. So when you multiply, the starting value should be 1. That is why we are saying int p is equal to 1. Starting value for the multiplication. And now int I is equal to 1. Starting number is 1. I less than or equal to 30. 1 to 30. That means till 29 loop will work. I plus is equal to 2. So 1, 3, 5, 7. Here we can see 1, 3, 5, 7 up to 29. We are working. And we are not printing. So in the brace, we will not say system out print I. We are finding the product. So P is equal to P into I. In this case, 1 into 1. First time I is P is 1. Odd number is 1. 1 into 1, 1. Then next odd number is 3. P is already 1. 1 3s are 3. Next odd number is 5. 5 3s are 15. Then 15 into 7, 45. Like that, every number we will multiply. Odd number will be increasing, and in P we will get the product. Once again, see here, first odd number is 1 and P is 1. So 1 into 1. And next odd number is 3. So P is 1, 1 into 3. That means 1 into 3, 3. Then 3 into 5. Here we can see 3 into 5, 15. Then 15 into 7, 45. So like this, we will be multiplying up to 29. And now the product will be stored in the variable P. And now close the for loop and then print system out println P. The last product of P, the last value that is coming from multiplying 1 to 29 will be stored in P and we will be printing. Here the question arises, why the system out println cannot be put inside the for loop? Why it is not put inside the brace? So inside the brace, if we are printing all number, for example, earlier we were printing 1, 3, 5, 7, all the numbers has to be printed. That is why we have put inside the for loop. But in this case, if the system out println line is coming inside the for loop, all value of P will be printed. For example, first time 1, then 1 into 3, 3, 3 will be printed. Then 3 into 5, 15, 15 will be printed. 15 into 7, 45. We don't want all the values. We want only the last value of P. Till 29 multiply and then print the value. So no need to put this line inside the for loop. For loop will run 1 to 30. That means 15 times plus 2. 15 times we don't want the answer. We want only the last answer. So close the for loop and then print the value of P. The last value of P will be printed. That is the difference coming here. Coming to next question, write a program to find sum of all even numbers from 2 to 50. So here also we don't have to print the even number. We have to add the even numbers starting from 2 to 15. So here we can start the program. Write the command to print sum of even numbers from 2 to 15. Keep in mind, if the command is coming in 2 lines, in both the lines single line command has to be put. Otherwise we can have multi-line commands. And start the program. Class even, public static void main string arguments int s is equal to 0. Here we are adding, so starting number is s. If we are multiplying, starting number is 1. And for int I is equal to 2, starting number is 2, I less than or equal to 15. That means 2 to 15, I plus is equal to 2. So here the value of I will be 2, 4, that means difference of plus 2. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 and 14. After that I will increase, so loop will stop here. And now we are saying s is equal to s plus I. Here we have to add the number 2 plus 4 plus 6 plus 8. So here starting value of s is 0. And first time s plus I, that means I is 2. That means 0 plus 2. Answer is 2. And next time I is 4 and s is 2. 2 plus 4, 6. Then 6 plus 6, 12. And the next even number 8. So 12 plus 8, 20. So like this, whatever even numbers are coming, we will go on adding and the new value will be stored in the variable s. And then close the loop. And outside the loop, you will print system out println sum of even numbers is plus s. As I told you already, if you print it inside the loop 20 times, the sum will come. We don't want that. We want only the last total sum. So outside the loop, we are printing it. Next question, write a program to input 20 numbers and find the smallest number. So in this case, loop will run 20 times and 20 times we have to accept the number. We will accept the number in a given variable. So while the program is running, we have to accept. That means we have to use the scanner class. So we can see how the program is working. First of all, write the command and the first 4 lines for scanner class. Command program to find the smallest number, and we have to import the scanner class library. Import java.util.scanner s capital. So we are calling the library so that we can use the scanner class function. Class small. According to program, the class name, public static void main string arguments, and open the brace, scanner sc is equal to new scanner system.in. So here we have created the scanner object sc, which will be used for accepting the values. And we are declaring 2 variables, int a for accepting the numbers one by one. We will be accepting 20 numbers. And int s for storing the smallest number. So here think about the logic. If we are saying 20 numbers, we can find which one is the biggest number and which one is the smallest number. But computer will not be able to do so unless we give the proper logic. So what we can do, we can accept the first number and then compare the other 19 numbers with the first number one by one and then find the smallest number. So here, before starting the loop, accept the first number. Here we can say, see, the message is given system out println input the first number, and we are storing the first number in the variable s. S is equal to sc dot next int. Accepting the integer number, so whatever number you are storing will be stored in the variable s. So one number is taken. So how many numbers are remaining? 19 numbers are remaining. Now we can start the loop from 1 to 19. 20 is already taken, 20th number. So the rest 19 numbers one by one we can accept in the loop. So before starting, give the message system out println input the rest of the numbers one by one. And loop is starting from 1 to 19. 19 numbers we are going to accept one by one. This loop is just for counting first number. Here we can see I loop will go 1, 2, 3 up to 19. So this is just for counting. We have to input 19 number. And we are accepting the number. Open the for loop here. A is equal to SC dot next INT, except the numbers one by one. For example, here we can see the first number is accepted, here 31. So now after getting one number, what we will do, we will check if S is greater than A. We want the smallest number. That means in the variable S is taken for storing the smallest number. S should be the small number. So we have to compare if S is greater than A. If the number is greater than A, we have to store the new number in that. So if S is greater than A, one by one we can check. So first we are suppose if we are inputting 31, 31 is not greater than 25. So no change. Now second number we can see we are accepting 54. Suppose if you are storing 54, compare 54 and 25. 54 is greater than 25, so no change. Now the third number, 18. Suppose if we are putting 18, now compare 18 and 25. 18 is smaller than 25. We want the smallest number. So here the checking if S is greater than A. S is 25 and the new value of A is 18. That means S is greater than A. 25 is greater than 18. So what we will do, S is equal to A. This number 18 will be stored in 25 and 25 will be overwritten. So what we can do, remove, we will say S is equal to A. That means 25 will go and the new value of S is 18. And the further numbers will be checked with this number. So here we are accepting one more number. We have to accept 19 numbers one by one, and the next number, suppose it is 16. Compare 16 and 18. S is greater than A. That means 18 is greater than 16. So once again change S is equal to 18 will go and in S 16 will come. And like this one by one you input. If the value of S is greater, then change. 19 is not, that means greater than 16 is smallest number, so no change. And next number 15, when we compare 15 and 16, 16 is greatest, that is S is greatest number. So again 15 will come to S and the 16 will be overwritten. So new value of S is 15. And next number 12. So 12 is also smaller than S. So 12 will be coming here and 15 will be overwritten. So like this one by one the numbers will be inputted and checked. If it is the smallest number, S will be having that number, and the further, that means the number which was taken early will be removed. So in this way, checking one by one, in the end of the loop we will get the smallest number in the variable S. So here we are closing the for loop, and after finishing the loop then we can print system.println smallest number is plus S. I hope you understood the logic. Little logical thinking we have to use here. One by one input the number, check it and compare it, and store the smallest number in the variable S. And if the question is coming for biggest number, just change the sign. If B is less than A, change the sign, you can write the biggest number. Next question, write a program to input a number and find its factors. Factors means the numbers that are divisible by the inputting number. For example, if we are taking 6, the factors of 6 are 1, 2 and 3. When you divide 6 by 1, you will get the remainder 0. That means it is a factor. 6 divided by 2, remainder is 0. That means 2 is a factor of 6. And 3 also factor of 6, because when you divide 6 by 3, the remainder is 0. So factors means the numbers which are divisible. So we can see how to do the program. Write the command import java.util.scanner class, we can say factor, class factor, public static void main, scanner sc is equal to new scanner system.in. Write the first 4 lines and then input the number. So here we are declaring the variable int a. If we want, we can initialize a is equal to 0. System.println input a number. So here input the number A is equal to SC dot next INT. Now we got the number. Here one example we can take, for example 10. Suppose if we are inputting 10, we can find what are the factors of 10. So how can we find it? Start the for loop for I is equal to 1, I less than A. If you don't want the original number, because original number is a factor of itself, so we can say I less than A. That means the loop will go from 1 to 9 if the number is 10. And if number is 6, the loop will go from 1 to 5, I plus plus. And if A modulus I is equal to 0, so here we can say I will is going from 1 to 9, and if A modulus I is equal to 0, divide the number by the for loop 1, 2, 3 up to 9. If the remainders are 0, it is a factor. For example, 10 divided by 1. Remainder is 0. That is, it is a factor. 1 is a factor of 10. 10 divided by 2. The remainder is 0. That means 2 also is a factor. 3, 4. The remainder is not 0. That means they are not the factors of 10. And 10 divided by 5. The remainder is 0. That means 5 is a factor of 10. So, and there are no other factors. So, if A modulus I is equal to 0, system out println I. Print that particular number. So, in this way, we can find the factor. Input the number, start the loop from 1 to that number, and divide A modulus I. Whenever the remainder is 0, that means it is a factor of that number. The next question, write a program to input a number and find its even factors. We have seen the program to find the factors. Now we are writing the program for finding the even factors. For example, take 6. The factors are 1, 2 and 3. And the even factor is only 2. So here we can see the program. Start the first command and the first 4 lines. Program to find the factors of a number. Import java.util.scanner. Class even public static void main string arguments, and scanner sc is equal to new scanner system.in. We have finished the first 4 lines. Now declare the variable and accept the number which you want to check. int a. Initialization. int a is equal to 0. We have initialized the variable a with 0. And now system out println input a number. And a is equal to sc dot next int. So whatever number you input, for example, we can take 12. That number will be stored in A. And now the number is 12. That means we have to find how many digits are there divisible by 12 up to 11. Loop will start from 1 and go till 11. int I is equal to 1. I less than A, I plus plus. We are not checking the original number. It is a factor. So till 11. If the number is 10, 1 to 9. So here number will be going till 11. And now if A modulus I is equal to 0. First of all, we can see what are the factors. So I is going from 1 to 11. So out of this 12 divided by 1. Remainder is 0. That means 1 is a factor. 2, 12 divided by 2. Again the remainder is 0. So 2 is a factor. 12 divided by 3. Remainder is 0. 12 divided by 4. Remainder is 0. 12 divided by 6. Remainder is 0. So the factors of 12 are 1, 2, 3, 4 and 6. So then now we have to find the even digit. So here if A modulus I is equal to 0. First time 1 is a factor. Now check whether 1 is an even digit. If I modulus 2 is equal to 0, 1 divided by 2, the remainder is not 0. That means it is not an even factor. It will not be printed. Here we are having the if condition. If condition is true, if I modulus 2 double equals 0, we are checking the remainder. Here also double equal, we are checking whether the remainder is 0. Then only it will be printed. So 12 divided by 1. And I modulus 2. The condition is not true, so it will not be printed. 12 divided here, 2 is a factor. And now we can see I modulus 2 because factors are coming in I. 2 divided by 2. The remainder is 0. That means it will be printed. And the next factor is 3. 3 divided by 2. Again the remainder is not 0. It is not printed. 4 divided by 2. 4 is a factor, 4 is an even number, that means 4 will be printed. And 6 divided by 2, it is an even digit, so it will be printed. So out of the factors of 12, 2, 4 and 6 are the even factors. So these numbers will be printed according to the question. I hope you understood the logic. First step, find the factors, and second step, find out of the factors which are even digits. Question we can do, write a program to input a number and find the number is a perfect number or not. A number is said to be perfect if the sum of factors of that number is same as the original number. So in this case, we will find the factors of the number, add the factors, and if the total sum is same as the original number, it is a perfect number. Here one example we can see, suppose we are taking 6. The factors of 6 are 1, 2 and 3. So here sum of the factor 1 plus 2 plus 3, that is 6. That means same as the original number. So the output will be 6 is a perfect number. One more example. Here we are taking 10. The factors of 10 are 1, 2 and 5. When we add these digits 1 plus 2 plus 5, the sum is 8, which is not equal to the original number. So the output will be 10 is not the perfect number. We can see how to do the program. Write the command, complete the first 4 lines, class name perfect we have given according to the question, public static void main and scanner SC. Declare the scanner class object and the main function. And now declare 2 variables. The first variable is for accepting the number and second variable is for finding the sum. So here we have given int a is equal to 0 and s is equal to 0. We have declared the numbers and initialize the numbers with 0. And now give the message system.println input a number and accept the number in the first variable, that is a. A is equal to sc dot next int. So whatever number you are giving will be stored in the variable a. And now here we are starting the loop for finding the factors. For int I is equal to 1, I less than a, I plus plus. So here one example we can see. Suppose we are having the number 6. Loop will go from 1 to 5. I is equal to 1. Starting number is 1. I less than a. A is 6. That means till 5. So one number less than the original number, loop will go. And I plus plus. So first time I is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the a variable is stable 6 in this case. And now whenever a factor is coming, s is equal to s plus I. So here we can say if a modulus I double equal to 0. Modulus means remainder. So if the remainder is 0, so first time I is 1. 6 divided by 1, remainder is 0. That means 1 is a factor. So s is equal to s plus I. So 0 plus 1, 1. Now the value of s is 1. Next time I is 2, 6 divided by 2, remainder is 0. That means 2 also is a factor. So s plus I, s is already 1, 1 plus 2, 3. Now the value of s is 3. And now take the next value of I, 3. 6 divided by 3, remainder is 0. 3 is divisible. That means s is equal to s plus I. S is already 3. So 3 plus I, 3 plus 3 means 6. And 4 and 5 are not factors. So addition will not be done. So last value of s is 6. We got the number as 6. So if a modulus I double equal to 0, s is equal to s plus I. Close the for loop. And now check if s double equal a. That means the value of s and a are same. It is a perfect number. In this case, a is 6 and value of s is 6. Both are same. That means output will be 6 is a perfect number. And suppose we are inputting 10. The sum of factors will be 8 as we have shown. So in that case, output will be 10 is not a perfect number. So this way we can find whether a number is perfect number or not. Next question. Write a program to input a number and find whether the number is an abundant number, deficient number or perfect number. Almost similar question as which we have done, and definitions of these three numbers are given. You can find the definition in board exam also. Abundant number which is smaller than the sum of factors. For example, 12. The factors of 12 are 1, 2, 3, 4 and 6. Find the sum of the factors 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 6, that is 16. And the original number 12 is smaller than the sum of factors. So number which is smaller than the sum of factors is known as abundant number. And deficient number, we can see the number which is larger than the sum of factors. For example, 9, sum of the number 9 is 1 and 3. Find the sum. 1 plus 3 is 4. And original number is bigger than the sum of factors. So it is a deficient number. And next example is perfect number that we have done now. A number which is equal to the sum of factor. So 6 factors are 1, 2 and 3. Find sum of the factors of 6 are 1 plus 2 plus 3, that is 6 itself, which is same as the original number. So it is a perfect number. Start writing the program. The first 4 lines which are same, first we can complete that. Write the command program to find whether the number is abundant number, deficient number or perfect number. Import java.util.scanner, class number, public static void main and scanner sc. Complete these 4 lines and now declare the variable for accepting the number and finding the sum. So here 2 variables are declared and initialized. int a is equal to 0 for accepting number, comma s is equal to 0 for finding the sum. And now give the message system.println input a number. And a is equal to sc dot next int. So whatever number we are giving will be stored in the variable a. And now we can find the factors of the number. 4, open the bracket, int I, initialize the variable. For the loop, int I is equal to 1, I less than a, I plus plus. That means loop will go, if the number is 12, loop will go from 1 to 11. And I will be increasing 1 by 1. First time I is 1, 2, 3 up to 11. And now if a modulus I double equal to 0. That means if it is a factor. First time I is 1, then 2, 3. So we can find the factors. A is 12. 12 divided by 1. Remainder is 0. That means 1 is a factor. 12 divided by 2. Remainder is 0. Divide by 3, 4 and 6. So these are the factors of 12. So if a modulus I is equal to 0, s is equal to s plus I. Add the number. That means 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 6. So here s was 0 in the beginning. 0 plus 1, 1 plus 2, 2 plus 3, 3 plus 4 and 4 plus 6. So we got the number 16 in s and close the for loop. So the last value will give the total sum of the factors. And now find if a is less than s. In this case, a is 12 and s is 16. So condition is true. If a is less than s, print a plus. That means 12 will come here. 12 plus is abundant number. So if the number is less than sum of factor, abundant number. Else if a is same as s or s double equal a, if both the numbers are same, then for example 6, sum of factors is 6. Loop is going from 1 to 5. 1, 2, 3 are the factors. So 0 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3 will give 6. That means a and s are same. S is double equal a or a double equal s. System.println a is a perfect number. So in this case 6 is a perfect number. And if both the conditions are wrong, that means naturally it is a deficient number. The original number will be greater than the sum of factor. For example, 9. then it will come as 9 is a, if the number is 9, 9 is a deficient number. So like this we will find the output. I hope you are able to follow the logic and program. Next question we can do related to factors. Write a program to input two numbers and find whether the number are amicable numbers or not. And we can see what is an amicable number. Amicable numbers are two different numbers and the sum of factors of each number is equal to other number. So the first 10 amicable numbers are given here. We can see how it is working. We can take the first pair, that is 220 and 284. According to the definition, the sum of factors of 220 should be equal to 284 and sum of factors of 284 should be equal to 220. So here we can see sample input 220 and 284. So the sum of the factors of 220 are 1, 2, 4, 5, 10, 11, 20, 22, 44, 55 and 110. So find the sum of the factor. It is 284. That means the next number. And now take 284. The factors are 1, 2, 4, 71 and 142. So find the factor 1 plus 2 plus 4 plus 71 plus 142. It is equal to 220. That is the first number. So the sum of factors of 220 is 284 and sum of factors of 284 is 220. So we can see both the numbers are amicable numbers. Start the program. Program to find amicable number or not and complete the first 4 lines. Import java.util.scanner, class amicable, public static void main string arguments and scanner SC is equal to new scanner system.in. And here declare the variables. We want two numbers and we have to find the sum of factors of both the numbers. So here int a is equal to 0. We have declared and initialized a for accepting the first number and s is equal to 0, s for finding the sum of factors of a. And int b is equal to 0 and d is equal to 0. B for the second number and its factors, sum of factors will be stored in d. So we can accept the two numbers. System out print ln input the two numbers. A and B already we have declared, so no need to declare again. We can just use the variable. A is equal to sc dot next int and B is equal to sc dot next int. So first number will be stored in A and second number will be stored in B. Here we can find the factors. Int I is equal to 1, I less than A, I plus plus. So here we can see the table. First number is 220. So here the loop will go from 1 to 19. That means one number less. And if A modulus I, if the digits is a factor of 220, S is equal to S plus I. This we have already discussed. So just we can find the factors of 220 are 1, 2, 4, 5, 10, 11, 20, 22, 44, 55 and 110. So these factors will be added together and the sum S is equal to S plus I. So we got the sum as 284. So close the for loop and now once again we can start the next for loop for finding the factors of B. Here see, here we have taken int I. We have opened the loop and closed the loop. So if you want we can reuse the variable I because the variable is used here and loop is closed. So once again we can use the same variable, but if you want you can use another variable also. So here we are using the same variable. Int I is equal to 1, I less than B, I plus plus. That means starting from 1 to 283. In this case the number is 284, so 283. The loop is going and if B modulus I, that means the factors of B, that is 1, 2, 4, 71 and 142 will be added to D. So in this case we got the answer as 220. This we are taking as example. Any numbers can be there. This is just to understand the loop. Two examples we are taking. So the factors of A is stored in S and factors of B is stored in D. And now we have to find whether they are amicable. So what is the condition? The factors of the first number should be equal to the second number and factors of the second number should be equal to the first number. So here we are having if A is equal to D, A is the first number, that is 220, and D is the factors of the second number. So here we got 220 in this example. If A is equal to D, A of first number and D is the factors of second number, and double and, that means logical and, both the conditions should be true. B is equal to S, B is 284 and S is sum of factors of the first number A. So in this case 220's factor is 285. So B is equal to S. Here once again A is equal to D and B is equal to S. If both the conditions are true, then we can say they are amicable number, else not amicable number. Keep in mind A is the first number, its factors are stored in S. B is the second number, its factors are stored in D. According to the condition of amicable number, the first number should be equal to the factors of second number, that is 220 here D, and the second number should be equal to the sum of factors of first number. So 220 and 284, they are according to the condition. So we can see these are amicable numbers. I hope you understood the condition. Analyze the program. Find the, if you have a computer, you can run the program and see it, understand the logic and then compare. So we can find if it is amicable number or not. We were doing the questions of factors till now. Now almost a similar name is there, factorial. So the next question we can do, write a program to input a number and find its factorial. Factors means the number that are divisible by the original number, and factorial means the product of all numbers from 1 to that number. For example, if the inputted number is 5, starting from 1 till 5, multiply all digits, all numbers, then you will get the factorial of 120. That is 5 is 120. If the number is 10, starting from 1 till 10, multiply all numbers, you will get the factorial of 10. So whatever number you input, starting from 1, you multiply till that number, that will give the factorial. In this case, the original number and 1, it is included. In factor, we are not including the original number, but in factorial, we are including the original number also. Write the program. Write the command first, program to find factorial of a number. Import java.util.scanner, class factorial, public static void main string arguments, and scanner s is equal to new scanner system.in. So after completing these lines, we can declare the variable int a is 0 and f is 1. A for inputting the number and f for finding the factorial. So why we have declared f as 1? Factorial of a number means starting from 1 till that number we have to multiply. There should be an initial value. If you take the initial value as 0, then any number multiplied with 0 will give you 0 only. So we cannot take the initial value as 0 when we are multiplying. If you are finding the sum, the initial value can be 0 because we are adding something. But if you are finding the product of numbers, the starting value should be 1. So here we have taken f for multiplying, the starting value is 1. And now system.println input a number. So here we are accepting a number. Example we have taken as 5. Suppose we are taking the number as 5. Factorial means starting from 1 till 5 we have to multiply 1 into 2 into 3 into 4 into 5. If number is 10, starting from 1 till 10 multiply. If number is 100, starting from 1 till 100, we are multiplying. So we can start the for loop. For, open the bracket, int I is equal to 1, I less than or equal to a, I plus plus. That means starting number is 1 and last number is the number itself. If number is 5, till 5. If number is 7, till 7. So first value of I is 1, then 2, 3, 4, 5. So like this we have in I loop is working. And now we are multiplying. So what we have to do? F is equal to F into I. So here we can say F is 1 in the beginning and F is equal to F into I. First time F is 1, I is 1. That means F into I means 1 into 1. Answer is 1. The new value of F is again 1. And second time I is 2. So again we are saying F into I. We are multiplying 1 into 2 into 3 into 4 into 5. And this way we can multiply the number F is equal to F into I. So now 1 into 2. Answer is 2. The new value of F is 2. Next time I is 3. And again F is equal to F into I. F is 2. 2 into 3. That is 6. And now the new value of F is 6 and I is 4. So 6 into 4, answer is 24. And last time I is 5. F into I, 24 into 5, that means 120. So like this we will get the factorial. You can find for yourself. If you multiply 1 into 2 into 3 into 4 into 5, the answer is 120. So in this way we can find the factorial. The main line is F is equal to F into I. And after that print the output. Close the for loop and now the factorial of. Here this is in double quotes. So the output will come as it is. Variable name is A. And if you are writing something before the variable, plus sign will come. And if you are writing something after the variable, again plus sign will come. So before and after A we are writing some words. That is why plus sign is coming before A and after A is plus F. F means the product. And we are writing something before the variable, not after the variable. So plus sign is only before the variable. So here output we can see factorial of 5. Here factorial of as it is come. Double quotes will come as it is, no change. A, in place of A, the value has come. Variable A's value has come. Is in double quotes. It is coming like that. And F, the product, that is 120. So you will get the output like this. Next question. Write a program to input a number and find whether the number is a prime number or not. A number is said to be prime if there are no other factors other than 1 and the original number. For example, 7. Except 1 and 7, there is no factors of 7. 19. This is also prime number. So we have to find the factors of the number, and if there are no other factors other than 1 and the original number, it is a prime number. Here we can start the program. Write the first 4 lines and comment. Program to find prime number or not. Import java.util.scanner class prime. Public static void main scan is equal to new scanner system.in. And 2 variables we are declaring, A for inputting number and C for counting the factors. In prime number we have to find the factors. If factors are more than 2 according to the loop, then it is not a prime number. So here input a number, we are accepting the number in the variable A. int A is A, that means A we have declared, so A is equal to sc dot next int. And now here 1 is a factor of all numbers. So this loop I am not including 1, we are starting from 2, I less than A. For example, if the number is 8, suppose the number we are accepting is 8, loop will go from 2 to 7. Because 1 and the original number are factors, no need to count. So here if I is here for int I is equal to 2, I less than A, I plus plus, and if A modulus I is double equals 0. So here we can find the factor. A is 8, I is going from 2 to 7. So 8 modulus 2, 8 modulus 3, 8 modulus 4, 5, 6 and 7. and we can find the remainder. If the remainder is 0, that means it is a factor. For example, 2 and 4 are factors of 8, so the remainder will be 0. So C is equal to C plus 1. That means count the number of factors. First time 2 is a factor, remainder is 0, that means C will become 1. And 4 is a factor, remainder is 0, that means again 1, 1 plus 1, 2 factors are there. So here we count the factors. We are starting from 2. Keep in mind 2 till 1 less than the number. So if the factors are there, 1 we have omitted and the original number we have omitted. If it is a prime number, there should be no factors. So here if C is equal to 0, it is a prime number. In this case, 8 is having 2 factors. Counting factors are not 0. That means it will be coming 8 is not a prime number. One more example you take. For example, 7. If the number is 7, loop will go from 2 to 6. Yeah. 7 modulus 2, 7 modulus 3, 4, 5, 6. No factors are there. That means C will remain 0. We are counting the factors. For 7, no other factors other than 1 and the original number. Loop is 2 to A modulus I. Here no factors are there. And then close the for loop and we can say if C is equal to 0. In this case, if the number is 7, no factors are there, C is remaining 0. It is a prime number. So we can say 7 is a prime number, and if input is 8, 8 is not a prime number. You can also write the loop like this. For example, if you are starting from 1 and accepting the original number, and I is equal to 1. If you are including 1 and the original number, then factor should be 2. C double equal 2. So both the way the loop is correct. If you are including 1 and the original number, even if it is a prime number, 2 factors will be there because 1 is a factor of the number and original number itself is a factor. For example, 8. 1 is a factor of 8 and 8 is a factor. 7 also. 1 is a factor of 7 and 7 is a factor of 7. So if you are starting the loop from 1 and including the number, checking will be if C double equal 2. And if you are starting the loop from 2 and less than A, checking will be if C double equal 0. So any of the loop you can use according to your choice. Answer will be correct. So we have done the prime number also. Hope you are able to follow the programs. Now we can do the last question for pronic number. So find whether a number is pronic number or not. A number is said to be pronic if the number is a product of 2 consecutive digits. For example, 0, 2, 6, 12, 20, etc. So what do you mean by 2 consecutive digits? For example, if we are taking the digits 1 into 2, 1 and 2 are consecutive, 2 into 3, they are consecutive adjacent numbers, 3, 4, 4, 5. Like this, if a number is the product of these adjacent consecutive numbers, then it is known as a pronic number. So here we can analyze one or two number. First take 0. 0 is the product of 0 into 1, 0 into minus 1. So two numbers when multiplied, two adjacent numbers if you multiply and if you get the number as answer, it is a consecutive number. Second example 2. Here 2 is a product of consecutive numbers 1 and 2. 1 into 2 will give you 2. Take the next number 6. Here 2 into 3. Consecutive numbers we are multiplying. So we got the answer 6. And one more example we can see 12. So here also by multiplying two consecutive numbers 3 into 4 we will get the answer 12. So here input a number and find whether the number is a pronic number or not. Now we can start writing the program. Write the first 4 lines and comment program to find pronic number or not, and import Java class pronic, we can say public static and the scanner class, and then declare the variable int a is equal to 0 for accepting the number. So here input a number and a is equal to sc.next int. In the variable a we are storing the number. Whatever number you are inputting will be stored in the variable a. Two variables we are declaring int d and f. D for finding the product of consecutive numbers. For example, 1 into 2, 2 into 3, 3 into 4, like that. And f for checking. We can call it as a flag variable. If the number is pronic, f will change to 1, otherwise f will remain 0. This will help in printing after closing the loop. So here int I is equal to 1, I less than a, I plus plus. Suppose the value of a is equal to 6. Here we got a is equal to 6. Loop will go from 1 to 5. So here we can see I a is 6. That means loop will go from 1 to 5. So I first value of I is 1. Then I 2, 3, 4, 5. And here d is equal to I into I plus 1. We are finding the product of two consecutive numbers. For example, first value of I is 1, I plus 1 means 2. If I is 2, I plus 1 is 3. I is 3, I plus 1 is 4, and so on. So here we are saying D is equal to I into I plus 1. That means 1 into 2, 2 into 3, 3 into 4, 4 into 5, and 5 into 6. And then before going to the next I, we will always check if D double equal A. That means if A and the number is same. So here first we can say D is equal to I into I plus 1. So first time I is 1. That means I plus 1 is 2. 1 into 2, 2. D has become 2. And checking will be done. D and A are same. It is not same. So the next value of I will be taken. I is 2. Next value of I is 2. I plus 1 is 3. Now I into I plus 1. 2 into 3. We got 6 and 6 in D. Now check D is equal to double equal A. Both the numbers are same. That means it is a pronic number. 6 is a product of two consecutive numbers. So what we can do, we will change F to 1. If the number is pronic, F will become 1. And if number is not pronic, F will remain 0. So here the number is pronic, so F will become 1 and break, because no need of further checking the numbers. Further, no need of saying 3 into 4, 4 into 5, 5 into 6, like that, because already we got the number is pronic. So stop the loop by using the break statement. Break statement will stop the loop and further checking will not be done. And after closing the loop, we can check if F double equal 1. If F has become 1, if the number is pronic, F will become 1. Then we can say it is a pronic number. Otherwise, it is not a pronic number. So like this, we can find whether the inputted number is pronic number or not. With this, we come to an end in this video. Hope you are able to follow and understand the concept of for loop, how to create the for loop, how to make use of the loop, and how to do the simple programs. If you have any doubt of any kind, please write in the message area. I will reply. And those who haven't subscribed till now, please subscribe the channel. And if you like this video, please don't forget to press the like button and write your comments so that I can understand where I can improve and are you all able to follow the channel. In the next video, we will be discussing the series in for loop and then the patterns. So see you all in the next video.